Welcome back. I'm Aleea.
And I'm Hav.
We are back with another season and we're really happy to be back. I know we definitely missed you, but I was also feeling quite burnt out at the end of the year. I know I'm sure you were too, Hav. We kind of talked about it a little bit. I still don't plan on doing any New Year planning until spring. We talked about this a little bit in the season finale. So if you missed it, definitely go catch up. Back to what I was saying. We are talking all things pregnancy this season. So if you have questions or topics that you haven't sent us, we will link an easy link down in the description below just for easy submissions. So today we are going to be diving into just all things emotions and, what it feels like when you find out you're expecting. So, because we can know this can be all over the board as you will find out today. So, Hav, why don't you start with your personal experience? Because, yeah, so get started.
Yeah, I think just starting with, like Aleea said, it's different for everybody. And I would argue that's very different for every pregnancy. I'm on pregnancy too, and my emotions are definitely different. But I'm kind of trying to think about, also, sorry if it sounds like I can't breathe. I can't. This baby is making it real difficult. But trying to just think back on when we found out that we were pregnant with our firstborn. That one was very different. We had made the decision that if we did get pregnant, we would be okay, but we weren't trying to get pregnant. So she wasn't planned, but she wasn't a complete surprise, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I think the initial moment was fear before we took the pregnancy test because we were just like, what what do we do if we are pregnant? Are we ready for this? Like, obviously we said we were, but when you find out that you like there's a chance that preparedness flies
Yeah.
right out the window. Yeah. there's no amount of being prepared, at least for a pregnancy like that. Obviously it's different for every pregnancy, but
Mhm.
so fear, I would say, it was the first. And then when we took the test and it came back positive, honestly, I just remember waiting to be stressed. Like, I was like, if this pregnancy test comes back positive, my anxiety is gonna spike. Like, I'm gonna start kind of spiraling on like all the things that we need. Money was a huge one for us. Like, we still had roommates and stuff, so it was like, what do we do, right? But I was very pleasantly surprised that I was like, I'm actually not super stressed. Like, I think we can handle this. So, fear to like comfort, I guess. But then I would say that was like initial. But then during the pregnancy, there was a lot of different emotions.
Mhm.
I think I had just come to terms. I had always wanted kids, like growing up, and I thought that I was gonna have like this huge family, and like I was always the babysitter, and kids loved me, and all that good stuff, right? But I think I had finally come to terms that I didn't know if like who I was in myself, like labeled as mom, or if I wanted to be a career woman, or I was just figuring out myself. And I had decided at that point that I wanted to have a little bit more time to figure out myself before I had kids. And that's literally when I got pregnant. So that pregnancy was rough on me because it was like you're already coming to terms with your life changing. And I think I was grieving. We talked about grief in one of our episodes with, you know, first time parents or even whatever. um, yeah, I was grieving, like, my life changing, but also the fact that I hadn't figured out my life or what I thought it was, whatnot. And then, of course, excitement because we were starting our family, and fear because what does starting our family look like? And have we talked about this enough and all that stuff? So I think it was a really big roller coaster of emotions with Azzy, for sure, with our firstborn. And I think the thing that surprised me the most, honestly, was I had such a simple pregnancy and I did not expect to like honestly be depressed the whole time. Not because I didn't want my child, not because I didn't think I was gonna love her or gonna be a good mom, but because I was like just so like, who am I? Who am I gonna be? Yeah. So that was very long way, but with Azzy it was a bit more complicated for me emotionally. For this baby, a lot more planned. A lot more planned. We had been talking about it. We had decided to have another baby like a year prior, and we'd been talking about it and when the right timing was. So I think honestly, it was just mostly pure excitement when we found out. A little bit of like, okay, like, yeah, we'd like to be in a bigger house. What's this going to look like? But I think as he wanted a sibling, she'd been asking for a sibling. She was so excited. We were all so excited. So I think so far emotion-wise, like, initial moments were like, "Yeah, we got what we wanted. This was gonna be good." And then getting sick, that was weird for that was, I think, my biggest surprise so far is that getting sick was so, like I was like, "I don't know if I can do this because I was so sick during the first trimester, like, couldn't eat anything, throwing up all the time. I also got neurovirus, like, all these things, and I just remember being like, "If this is gonna be my whole pregnancy, like, am I gonna survive?" Thankfully, we hear all the stories of women, and I knew, like, I'd be able to get through it, but I think that was, like, the only thing so far that it was like, "Oh god, what are we doing?" But otherwise, yeah, I think this one's just kinda more simple. We really, like, hashed this one out beforehand, and we know we're done. Like, the plan is to be done, so it's, like, a little bit of finality in it, but yeah.
Which I think there is it's like everything, there's so many dual emotions with both of those. It's, like, sad that it's the last, but then it's exciting that it's the last, and, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can be and it's to me, I'm all about the and emotions, like, I feel this
Yeah.
and this because, like, we've been talked about a lot on the show, you can have both, and I don't think,
Mama,
one or the
mama,
other is
mama,
bad. What? What?
mama. Yeah, it's hard. I feel like and this is something that I'm actually teaching Azzy right now, and we're talking a lot about is having more than one emotion
Mommy.
at a time, and, like, how it's normal to have more than one emotion at a time. I think as adults, we often think, like, if you're sad, you're sad. If you're happy, you're happy. And honestly, yeah. So reading that book with her, I'm like, "Oh, yeah." I was, what the her book is like, I make up new emotion words. I was I was excited, scared. I was, whatever. I can't actually make a combo for that, but
Yeah, and I think too, social media does play a role in that with the cancel culture, just because I feel like ever since
Diddle.
then, it's like
Diddle,
you can either
diddle.
be one or the other.
Diddle,
Like you can't
diddle.
have dual anything. I don't know. I just found that really fascinating because ever since I feel like people, it's like it just feels like it's very
Diddle.
sided.
Diddle.
And
Yeah.
so
Diddle. Well, and you hear a lot like, if you're not excited to have if you're not happy to be a mom or you're not excited to be a mom, you're gonna be a bad mom. I think I dealt with a lot of that emotions of, like, I was excited to be a mom, but I was very worried about it, and that made me scared. That did make me scared that I wasn't gonna be a good mom because I spent all these years, like, loving on kids, and then the one time I get pregnant, right, and it's my turn, I was like, how's this gonna go? And there was definitely that moment of like, maybe I'm not supposed to be a mom.
yeah, I definitely just and I think that does lead into kinda how, like, when we found out with Dash, it's like the initial moment, I was so scared because I definitely wasn't anticipating having children, and I honestly always wavered on if I even wanted kids, at some point in my life just because I don't know, I was like, "If it happens, cool, but if I'm always just the fun auntie, like, that's cool too." Like, I that felt like kind of like my role, and so
Mm.
when we were finding out, I was so scared, and I just remember, like, my immediate thoughts were like, "No," and, like, crying and, like, but then at the same time, I was like it was crazy how I felt like I instantly knew, like, "Okay, this is fine." Like,
Yeah,
I'm excited for like, I don't know, it was like I just knew that I was, like, gonna take the journey, even though, like, I felt like I didn't know and I was, like, real indecisive, but, yeah, it was just weird because it's weird when you're, like, crying, but then you're like, "Yeah, okay."
yeah,
Like, it feels and then after the days after, it's like you're excited and you're imagining things, but then you're also scared because, because I wasn't exactly anticipating it, it was like, I had no idea of what it was going to look like in the future, and then I was also like, "Oh, everything like, my current life" like, we've talked about this before, but, like, I was really sad about losing single lifehood, I guess, like, just us as, like, Ty and I. So that was just it was just really interesting because there was just a lot of overwhelming experiences. And it was interesting because it didn't feel real, but it felt good, but it felt scary. I don't know, it was crazy how all of those things could happen. Because I
yeah.
definitely didn't feel like I was feel ready at all, and I was like, "Okay."
Well, it's funny that, like, I know because we talked a lot initially,
Mhm.
and I think for me, like, for my side, like, even, like, our friend group, I was
Yeah,
always mommy Hav, right? Like, so it was a little bit more, like, ingrained, like, "Oh, like, she's gonna be a mom."
right.
Even though, yeah, I had a hard time, but I remember when you called me and said you were pregnant, I was definitely one of those, like, "How do you feel?" Because I know that you
Mhm,
weren't sure if you
mhm,
were gonna have kids. And I remember when you were like, "No, like, I'm doing this."
mm,
And it was like yeah, like, I was so excited for you, but it's one of those things where you're like, especially as a friend, you're like, "Okay, I know that you weren't sure about this," but, like,
mhm.
it was cool to see you, like, in that moment, just be like, "No, yeah, we're doing this.
I
Like, I
need
got
I need
this. Like,
I
it's gonna be hard, but, like" 3-year-olds, so great.
Yeah, and I think that is a good point. It was interesting because it was just definitely I wasn't expecting to have certain feelings, and I think that is someone if you are maybe not experiencing this yet or you're worried about, what feelings you might feel, just remember that, like, I mean, honestly, you're not gonna know how you feel until you're in it. Like, that's just, like, the truth of the matter. So, don't hold yourself too hard on, like, being so worried and caught up on, like, what might be. Because I'm
Yeah,
like, you can't know. And something I've learned is, like, everything's figure outable, honestly. So, it's like,
yeah,
stop worrying about things that you don't know how you're going to feel yet. It's like, once you feel them, then you'll know your action plan after that.
yeah. When I think on that point too, it's so funny because looking back on it with her, all the things that I was so scared about, like, I thought I would really be a great boy mom, right? And when I
What?
found out yeah, baby. And when I found out that she was a girl, I was worried, like, am I gonna be emotionally there enough? Am I gonna be th like, all these things? And come to find that's, like, been the easiest part for me. Like, dress up in hair and makeup, like, I knew I was good at those things, but, like, literally all the things I was like, "What are we gonna do?" Easy. All the things I was like, "Oh, we'll figure that out." That's where I was like, "Okay, this is a little more hard." But my point being that, like, you'll hear it said with pregnancy, with like, there's literally no planning for it. You can create a plan of like what your ideal situation would be, but being flexible, and I think that goes with emotions too, and being flexible with yourself is really at the end of the day what's going to matter. Because did I want to be sad my whole pregnancy? No, but did it teach me a lot about myself and like how to grow, and like now we're here and I'm so happy that this everything turned out the way that it did. But like if you talk to me about my first pregnancy, I will still say hated it.
Yeah, it's crazy the different emotions and stuff, and I think you make an excellent point. It's like you can only plan so much, it's so true, but I think a good thing to plan for is to plan to have flexibility. Like, if
Yeah.
there's one thing that you can work on when you have a chance, it's just like, if you are someone that is not flexible or has a hard time with letting go control, not looking at anybody in specific, but it's definitely something that you can't plan for everything, but having a little plan and definitely just also taking into account, like, you have to be flexible will definitely make it easier. Cause that's like even going into labor. Like I was like, okay, I would like it to go this way, but if it
Mhm.
doesn't, I'm okay with that. And I think that's something that it can be helpful just because if you have too much hope, then you're sad that it doesn't go a certain way. So it's like you can have your expectations on how, but like also be okay if it needs to change.
Yeah. I people always tell me I'm a pessimist, which I don't believe fully, but I do always say like plan for the worst, hope for the best. Which I think it's funny about the labor. I think I'm so much more like, no, this is what's happening with this baby than I was with her. Because with her, I was like, I literally don't know. I don't know anything. Did my research and stuff, and with this one, I'm like, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, which again, I know can go right out the window. But I think it's funny how with the second one, I'm like, no.
I think there's still, like, setting boundaries that are important, like, knowing things, but it's just I think a lot of people think, like, "Oh, I won't do a C-section at all." And I'm like, "But if it comes to the health of you and your child," I'm like, "You might end up doing that." So, I
Exactly.
just it to me, that's where the flexibility is. But I do think having boundaries and, like, knowing what you want is still important, so I'm glad you brought that up because I
Yeah.
don't think you should throw that out.
No, no, exactly. And I think it's the same thing with like raising your kid, right? Having those like, yeah, these are my boundary points. Yeah, being like it just changes. We're learning so much. I'm learning about and with the second pregnancy of how like, teaching her how to take care of yourself and stuff like that. For me, I've always done better about taking care of myself when it's like somebody's watching or like I'm doing it for somebody else. So, but
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely do better when it's for not just myself.
like I'm the typical I won't eat all day, but if I have somebody to cook for, I'll
Then it's like, well, eat a little bit then. I think we can just, we can have an array of emotions, both good and bad. And I think we can live together with them. And so, like we've been talking about, there's no correct reaction. And so, if this is something you're experiencing or about to experience, maybe you're afraid of how you may feel, I think we should dive into some tips on just kind of maybe help with that area. I know one thing for me that actually really helped was shrinking the timeline. So, like, instead, because, like, especially when I found out, it's like you instantly are afraid of all the unknowns. You're like, "Oh my gosh, they're gonna be here and I have to take care of blah, 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 blah," and it's like there's 100 things, and so it's like the first thing you can do is focus on today, focus on yourself, like, right when you find out, you know, that emotions, and then just take it week by week. Because for me, it was like, "Okay, I'm here, what can I do, within the first 3 months?" Things like that. It made the picture seem less scary versus looking at it, like, as a whole pregnancy or, like, life ahead, just because it can be a lot.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that advice. I think it's really hard, at least it was really hard for me with the first pregnancy to be able to, like, to do that honestly, because anxiety. My head just spirals and thinks, like, 10 years ahead. I think that's the one thing that I'm grateful with this pregnancy is, like, I know a little bit more, but 100%, like, being able to be like, "Okay, right now we're gonna worry about this trimester, then we'll worry about next trimester, and then when baby gets here, we'll worry about sleeping and feeding," right? Like, whatever, but, I definitely think that's good advice, and then I think also just, like, talking about it. I know for me,
Oh, yeah.
especially with my guilt and feeling like, maybe I'm not gonna be a good mom and stuff, talking to you and talking to, like, our friends and stuff, and, like, literally just being honest and being like, "I'm not happy right now. These are the things I'm worried about," and then getting encouragement, but also validating my feelings was really, really helpful, to know that, like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's okay to have the multi emotions and it's okay to feel certain ways. But also, like, hearing hearing your friends and your family be like, "No, like, you got this." It is helpful because it helped me get out of my head a little bit and be like, "Okay, these are the people that watch me every day. These are the people who know who I am." And of course, I was really only talking to the people that I trust to, like, tell me that I'm being delusional. So, like, if they're not telling me that I need to, like, reset my brain, then, like, I'm like, "Okay, I trust you guys, like, I'm in it," but also the encouragement, like, "You're in it," but, like, I know with you, it was super helpful because you were like, "Yeah, I hear you, but look at how far you've come. Look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing for yourself, what you're doing for your baby. It's hard right now, but, like, you're doing everything that you need to do." That really helped me just, like, kinda calm those emotions of, like, craziness, like, "What am I gonna do?"
Yeah. Confidence boosters help a ton. And honestly, and I agree with you, and that does kind of lead into another tip was just like being intentional about who you tell because I think it is important to tell people that will tell you like the realities. But I think sometimes it is okay to have people in your life too that just tell you the good things if you need that pep boost because I'm
Yeah.
like sometimes we do need a little,
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
me up. But
I
I agree. I
so
think no,
like
we don't want someone to we don't want all our friends to like lie to us and be like, yeah.
thing is, it's so, like, I don't know, I think if I had, like, friends, and granted none of my friends had been pregnant before, but, like, if I was talking to her like, "No, it's such a beautiful thing, you should be so happy, like, what is wrong with you that you're feeling depressed? Like, look at your beautiful glowing skin." I would have punched you and myself. Like, that's not what I needed to hear, but you knew that, like, and you
Right.
let me voice my, like, my stress and my whatever, and, like, honestly, sometimes you were just like, "Yeah, dude, that fucking sucks. Like, tell me more. Tell me about all the crazy stuff that you're going through," which was helpful too, because I was like, "Even though you're not going through it right now, like, I can still tell you about it."
It was crazy how helpful it was for me once I did go through, like, I learned so much from you, but it's funny because I'm a little bit of the opposite. When I found out, I was like, I wanted people to, like I needed to know I could do it. Like, I
Yeah.
was so afraid that I wasn't gonna be, like, a good mom or be able to do it, and so I was like, I needed people to be like, "Yes, this is gonna be a journey, like, you can do this," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, like, I can do this." I
Yeah.
still liked the negatives, but I definitely was like, "Someone remind me that I'm, like, capable enough to take care
Yeah.
of this child."
Realistic encouragement though, because absolutely, you are capable, but yeah,
Really.
I'm always a little bit more like, "Hey," like, and I think, like, I mean, like, thinking about you and going through teething with Dash,
Oh,
like, my
yeah.
initial reaction was like, "Yeah, dude, it's gonna suck, but you are going to be okay. You might not sleep very well for the next few months,
Right.
but as soon as that tooth breaks out, like trying to give you things to look forward to, which I feel like some people in my life, they were just like, when baby gets here, your life doesn't matter. And I was like, great. That makes this so much better. Thank you.
No, I need the realistic too,
Yeah.
because if you sugarcoat it too much, like, until you're through it, you don't realize how hard it can be, and so it's like, I didn't want the sugarcoating, and I'm really glad that you did go through it first because like I said, it was crazy how much I learned that I felt more prepared for. But just to kind of go back to what I was thinking or what we were talking about with, like, the intentionality,
Mhm.
think just to remind you, like, if you are nervous, like, I know for me, this is something that affected me. I live in an area where there's a lot of opinions and a lot of different beliefs and things like that. And so I knew I wanted to be mindful about who I told just for my own peace because I was already nervous about it. And I was like, I want this to be like a fun experience and like a happy experience. And so just remember that don't feel like you have to tell everybody. Like, I know for me, it was nice to have the important people know, like Hav and like other people that maybe were realistic and like could celebrate our joy, but I didn't like go and tell the world until I felt ready, just because I didn't want all these people coming in and like sucking out all the goodness. So just know that you can be intentional with your time and or like with who you tell.
Such a good point. I think with Azzy, I just told everybody. Like we posted right away and we told everybody. Granted, there were like outlying factors like the fact that we were leaving the state and I wanted to be in person. But there was a lot and like that is something that I learned. And with this pregnancy, even though it's my second one and I already know what people are gonna say, I really didn't tell anybody. I mean, people know now, but I'm literally showing like there's no but my point being, like, I was so much more happy in well, I was sick, I wasn't happy, but I was, like, a lot more, like, at peace with the feelings and, like, just not hearing I don't know. For
Yeah.
the first pregnancy, everybody has their input, whether it's positive or negative or whatever, and then when you're getting constant Instagram messages and TikTok videos of people sending you all their opinions on, like, what raising a baby should be, it's very overwhelming, and I
Especially
hated
when you're
it.
already overwhelmed.
I hated it. It was honestly horrible. That probably made the pregnancy worse, to be
Yeah.
honest. And with this one, I literally was like, "I'm not apologizing for not telling you. I didn't wanna talk to people about it. I
Yeah.
I was planning it and I wanted it, but I didn't wanna talk to people about it, except for my select group of people."
And I think with social media, it can be so easy to want to share everything just because of that like social high of like the likes and things like that. But yeah, I think there is such a nice piece. And it's kind of fun to have like this little thing that like no one else knows. I don't know. It's just, it brings back a little excitement.
Yeah. I tell all new moms now, especially, like, my close friends who are like, "I don't know if I'm telling people or not," and I'm literally like, "Protect your peace." Honestly, if you don't
Yeah.
need to tell or you don't need the support from them,
Right.
just don't.
Yeah. 100%.
It'll come when you're ready. You'll know when you're ready. Don't force it.
Yeah. 100%. Before I wrap up, did you have any other tips that you wanted to add?
No, I reminder that mixed emotions are normal. I think they're actually healthier than just having one emotion about stuff. But yeah, giving yourself space to feel those emotions and to like we said, just have people in your life that you can be honest with and like them know hard time and stuff. But you're gonna get through it regardless. I think that's the one amazing thing I will say about being a woman is that we really can get through anything and it might be hard. I'm not saying all of pregnancy or all of like the newborn stage or any of that was like so easy. I'll be the first one to say that when they say everything is beautiful, it's a lie.
Mhm. It is a
Yeah. Just allowing yourself to like you're not a bad mom for not liking certain things.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I think that it's a great point. Whatever you're feeling, it's valid and you don't have to have everything figured out. But yeah, I love that. Like everything is very whatever you're because that's what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's like a roller it's literally I use that metaphor all the time, but it really is like a roller coaster, like, you might be in the same moment and, like, 1 second you feel an ultimate high of, like, "This is amazing," and then 2 minutes later, you're like, "I don't wanna be touched anymore."
Yeah. A
Or,
100%.
"I don't wanna be" like, right now, the kicking, I'm like, "Y okay, I love knowing that you're in there, but can you, like, chill out?"
And I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, the tiredness, the not being able to breathe. You're like, this is really fun, but you're also like, oh, it is nice when you can like have control again and not feel like you just ran a marathon and you walked like down the hall. That's
Right.
flat.
That being able to hold my child without being like, "I'm in pain."
Yeah, but with that said, stay tuned for next week as we are going to be diving into our thoughts, current soon to be experiences, and just maybe some tips on what it's like when you're adding another child to your family and the changes that come with that. Because, like I said, obviously one of us is going to be, well, we're going through it right now. So, with that, we look forward to chatting with you then. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.